let's talk more about how language is acquired. So the road to speech involves learning phonemes, and these are the smallest unique sounds in a language. 1-month-olds can actually distinguish between vowels and consonants. Different languages have different sets of phonemes, and children practice all phonemes, gradually restricting their use to only those to which they're exposed. Eventually, they lose the ability to distinguish between unused phonemes. This is a great example of synaptic pruning. But language also involves communicating. We see that practicing to become a communicator actually begins right when an infant is born. Newborns initiate interaction through eye contact and terminate it by looking away. By 3 to 4 months old, infants start to display joint attention. This is where they attend to the same object or event as the caregiver. Between 4 and 6 months, caregiver-baby interaction begins to include give and take, like pat a cake or peekaboo. Around 7 to 9 months, infants start to divide the speech stream into word-like units. To do this, they use this impressive statistical learning capacity. This is the ability to analyze the speech stream for repeatedly recurring sequences of sound. Some researchers believe that infants have an innate capacity for detecting structure in the environment, and they also apply to non-speech auditory information and visual stimulation. So one type of statistical pattern that could support learning word meanings and grammatical patterns is a distributional cue. A distributional cue would be, for example, nouns typically are followed by a or the, and verbs are typically followed by is or was and end in ing, like he is running. Another type of statistical pattern is a phonological cue. This is this idea that verbs are more likely to have consonant clusters at their onset, like play, clap, and crawl, and nouns are likely to end in an E sound like baby or doggy. Noticing these patterns can help infants to group nouns and verbs into different grammatical categories. Tracking these patterns might also help babies learn the meaning of words. Notice that words from different categories refer to different things. Nouns tend to refer to objects or people, while verbs tend to refer to actions or events. As infants begin to learn the meaning of words like doggy, baby, kitty, upon hearing a new word following an a or a the or an e ending, they may be more likely to map it into an object versus an action. This suggests that tracking statistical patterns could be an important way for infants to learn both words and grammatical patterns. I'm posting a really fun video where you guys can test your statistical learning capacity. So please do the video and make sure that you have a sheet of paper and a pencil in order to do the activity. At the end of the first year, infants use preverbal gestures to direct adults' attention to influence their behavior and convey helpful information. Before 12 months, they use symbols in areas other than language, like gesturing. They might point, wave, smack their lips to convey messages. Between 12 and 18 months, they start to gain insight that words are symbols for objects, actions, and properties. So infants use many powerful tools to identify words in speech. Infants identify the beginning of words by paying more attention to stressed syllables than unstressed syllables, and they notice sounds that go together frequently. So parents and caregivers often help infants master language sounds by talking in a distinctive style. Infant-directed speech, also known as motherese, refers to adult speech to infants that is slower and has greater variation in pitch and loudness. It's essentially baby talk. It attracts infants' attention more than adult-directed speech because it's slower paced and accentuates changes, and this provides infants with more salient language clues. Infant-directed speech helps infants perceive fundamental sounds. We see that adults in many cultures speak to babies in infant-directed speech. Infant-directed speech is also used even by deaf parents. They might use a similar style of communication when signing to their deaf babies, so more exaggerated. So lots of times people think that baby talk is stupid, but it's actually really good for children. When it comes to speaking in sentences, we see that by 18 months, children can make 2- and 3-word sentences based on very simple formulas. They typically involve an actor and an action, and this reflects telegraphic speech. So telegraphic speech includes only words directly relevant to meaning and nothing more. So it might be eat cookie, or she run, or he happy. Over-regularizations are common here. These are rules that children apply to words that are exceptions to the rule. So this would be that example of, instead of saying mice, a child would say mouses. Instead of saying caught, a child might say catched. So moving from 2-word to more complex sentences involves adding grammatical morphemes. So instead of saying he eat, saying he is eating. Grammatical morphemes are words or word endings like ing, ed, or s. Mastery of grammatical morphemes involves learning rules as well as the exceptions to the rule. So simple relations are mastered prior to the more complex ones. So if you guys remember when you watched the video about Jeannie, she was never really able to grasp the grammatical morphemes.